Hi there, good evening, and welcome to the Championship Review. Good evening and welcome to the Championship Review. I'm Carl, as usual. Yes, we're back after a bit of a hiatus of this show as well after during the festive period, but we're back and we're going to get through towards the end of the season for race of promotion in the Championship as well. We'll talk about the key games of this weekend, including Cardiff City against Swansea, Leeds against Sheffield Wednesday early today, and the Friday's night game between Burnley against Sunderland. And like I said, with joining me as usual is Michael himself. Michael, good evening.
Good evening to you. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Actually, it was good to catch up, meet you in the flesh on
Yeah, that was it. Was
Wednesday.
the Sheffield United Sunderland game, wasn't it, on New Year's Day? That was cracking. That so I was just wondering whether it was going to be a boring crap fest of a game, but you actually picked a pretty decent one as I knew what the counter was, and there was
It
you singing
was.
Sunderland songs in the stand at the end, which was quite nice. So, but no, that was nice. No, it was nice to finally meet up with you. But no, it's good to hear you're doing all right.
Yeah, yeah, yourself as well too. And listen, like I said, I will try to come down to this a lot more often if we both get promoted. I already said this to Douglas yesterday before on the Saturday show that if Leeds get promoted, I probably will go down to with him to watch the local games with him both home and away because I drive so he can meet my family as well too. So it will make that easier. And I'll come to Sunderland as well for a away game and try to meet you if you come down to
Mm.
Ellen Road. So yeah.
Yeah, why not? Well, you can always drive down and see if we're in the Premier League and Sunderland against Liverpool. Then just tell Dog he might not be able to celebrate if he's in the home end though.
He knows that. He already knows that. So I will be always
Well,
fucking
it
waiting.
depends how good he is at handling his emotions, but we'll see. We've got to get promoted first.
Well, yeah, I think it's Doug won't be on him next week, next Saturday on the Saturday show because he's down in Liverpool to watch Ipswich again. He's been going down to Liverpool a lot more often now, anyway. So
Let's just say I'll be best friends with Doug forever if Liverpool win the Carabao Cup for very obvious reasons.
yeah, absolutely as well. Right, let's get on with the first game. Do you know what? I'm going to start off at Cardiff Road. It was a 0-0 draw between Luton Town Preston North End in front of Matt Bloomfield's first game Luton game as Luton manager since he joined from Wickham earlier this week. Encouraging signs, Michael, for Luton despite the draw.
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously the big talking point here was Rob Edwards leaving, which is kind of like not really a surprise, is it? I mean, it's one of those where the Luton fans can be grateful for what he's achieved with them, for getting them into the Premier League, and wasn't far off keeping them in the Premier League actually, when hardly anyone would have expected them to make as much of a go of it as they did. But this season, for whatever reason, they've just not looked anywhere near the Luton identity that what we've become associated with them, which is a very aggressive, solid, hard-working team, but with quality in it as well, and deserve to get promoted. And I think it got to a point then maybe for Rob Edwards to not tarnish his legacy there, it might end up having to move on. So obviously in comes Matt Bloomfield, which is quite weird that he's left. It'd be quite weird if he left Wickham to go to Luton and then they swap leagues. But
Yeah,
for whatever it's worth, I'd be very surprised if Luton get relegated. I I think there was definitely some good signs. There was some decent chances for Luton and Preston. Obviously, Preston you would have earmarked as a game that, from Luton's perspective, if you're at home to get 3 points. But yeah, I mean, I think it stops a run of consecutive defeats for Luton now, doesn't it?
what,
So
three, I think
that,
3 to 4 now. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. So that's always a good starting point to stop the run of losses and get a clean sheet on the board, and at least it gives him a platform um, to then build on. I mean, he's got a job on his hands in terms of getting morale and confidence back up, but no, I would say that there were some pretty encouraging signs, and you've just got to take that into the games coming up. I mean, they've got another big game against Oxford on Tuesday, and then Millwall at home next Saturday. So they're actually there's a pretty decent week for them fixtures wise. So no, I would say positive signs for Luton. It was definitely it seemed to be an improved sort of performance. There was a bit more structure, a bit more rigidity to it, and it was really good to see. And actually, from Preston's point of view, it's not a bad point away from home either.
absolutely as well, and especially with Preston, only barely had ventured into Luton's final third in the whole game. Was it just they only managed just 3 touches? Was that like a game plan from Paul Heckingbottom? yes for yesterday's game?
Possibly. I mean, I can't imagine he would have gone there and been setting out purely just to get a nil-nil draw. But yeah, I mean, as you can see here, I mean, four touches in the box there. Didn't have a shot on target in the game, so it's definitely a point that will probably suit Preston a little bit better than Luton. But I get the impression that are Preston just in need of reinforcements to try and maybe get themselves as far away from the relegation zone as possible. I do think, like I said, Paul Heckingbottom, I think will be fine in keeping Preston up. I think they'll get enough. I think they probably need to get 7 or 8 wins between now and the end of the season to make sure they don't get relegated. And I think it's not necessarily a bad. It's a good result. They just need to. I think again, it's where when they're playing home games is when they probably need to make the most of having the Deepdale faithful behind them and see what's what. So I wouldn't say it was the game plan necessarily. I don't think any manager would go in with that sort of mindset. But yeah, I think Paul Heckingbottom would be the more pleased of the two managers. Let's put it that way,
Yeah, I absolutely as well. I agree
or
with
more
that as
content
well.
rather.
Yeah, no, I think both managers will be happy with the point, especially for Matt Bluefield. With ending Luton's game losing streak as well, which is
Yeah,
vital
you
for
want to
them.
get something on the board straight away, don't you? At the very least.
You do, you absolutely do. Yeah. Let's go to the Hawthorns. And actually, Tony Mowbray is back at West Brom since after probably been a long time, since over a decade ago since he was there at the club.
17 years, I think it was. I could be wrong on that though.
Yeah, yeah, no, and he's now cancer free, which is good because
Yeah,
he had a lot of health issues over the past 12 or 18 months. It was dreadful for him, but we're glad to see him back. He wasn't in the dugout this weekend after the 1-1 draw against Stoke City, but he should be in for the next game coming up. But leading goal from Nathan Lowe, that's his 19th goal of the season, and Jeremy Dianga scored in the 7th minute. Do you think who had the better chances in this game? Was it both even, or do you think Stoke should have got away with the 3 points?
I think you probably could say West Brom had their opportunities as you would expect them. They're a team chasing the playoffs. Stoke are a team at the minute that are probably obviously have just lost Tom Cannon, their main source of goals, but someone who will be able. But Stoke obviously their main aim at the minute is to make sure they don't get relegated. And again, a bit similar to Luton, where I would be surprised if they did go down, but being honest, like with West Brom, I think, well, first and foremost, I echo your sentiments on Tony Mowbray. It was really good to see that he is cancer free now and that he is back. And that is obviously the most important thing to me because obviously I was gutted when I heard what he was going through. So it's nice to see that he's been well received. And obviously, as you know, he's left a great legacy with West Brom fans. West Brom fans were, from what I could see on, at least on social media, because obviously I wasn't at the Hawthorns, but from social media, if that's anything to go by, I would imagine the ground would have been buzzing with the reappointment of Tony Mowbray. And obviously, filling Carlos Corberán's shoes is really, really massive step. But I don't think you can do much wrong with Tony Mowbray. It feels like a safe appointment, not in terms of style of football, but in terms of safe appointing someone that the fans will love, and at least it's someone that can unite the supporters a bit. And West Brom have done all right actually since Corberán's left. But no, as far as chances go, I think West Brom probably would have had more of them, which you would expect them to do being at home. Great from Nathan Lowe to obviously to get a goal on his first start in the Championship. Um, and
Because he's been recalled from
from
Warsaw, yeah.
also, yeah, absolutely. So he's having a really good prolific season, and it doesn't do his confidence any harm to get on the score sheet in his first game for Stoke in the Championship. So, no, not bad. Maybe Stoke don't need to sign a striker, depending if But obviously, I am aware it is one game. And for Stoke, I would say it's a good point. I think it's a good point to go away at the Hawthorns, a team that is currently just in the top six. I think there's worse results in the world. I think if you offered Stoke fans a draw before kick-off, they would have ended up taking it. Diagana obviously managed to spare West Brom's blushes. So it's a point that keeps both teams sort of ticking over, really. But obviously from Tony Mowbray, what a first game to start when he goes away to Middlesbrough on Tuesday night. That's going to be that's going to be absolutely insane. What a first game that is for him.
It is. It's going to be his insane first game. And the last time he was in charge was back around about between 2007 to June 2009 before he left for Celtic. So, and unfortunately, because only the reason why he's now back at the club, their first choice, was Raphael Vicky, who turned the job down because he could not bring his preferred backroom staff. So that led to getting Tony Murray back in the club on a 2.5 year contract, which I think which will bring a bit of stability for the Baggies completely, especially with a big shoes to fill, like I said, of Carlos Corberán going to Valencia a couple of weeks ago.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So no good. No, the main thing is good to see him back in the game, and I think it's one with West Brom that they're still in a decent position to be fighting for fifth and sixth. So there's no reason why they can't get in there. And obviously, Tony Mowbray 2 years ago with Sunderland got in the playoffs. So he's had recent history of being. I mean, okay, granted that was a bit of a dramatic sort of way to get in the playoffs, but he's still capable of getting a team in the playoffs. And his West Brom squad, I think it's going to be challenging to get in there ahead of Middlesbrough. But you just never know. And as I said, with Stoke, the big question I'd have with Stoke is obviously can they fill Tom Cannon's shoes? Because it's good that Nathan Lowe obviously did score, and as I jokingly said about them not needing a striker, um, it's going to be a lot to ask of him to step up from League Two to the Championship in one season. But that's not Stoke's fault, That's just Leicester deciding to recall him. So again, I mean, Stoke are only 2 points above the bottom three, but I can't see them with Mark Robbins going down. But you just never know if they can't. If Nathan Lowe can't carry the burden on his own, and they don't replace Tom Cannon's goals, then it is a concern for them.
Yeah, it could be a concern if they don't get a replacement in this month's transfer window coming up before the end of the transfer window closes around February, around the 1st of February. Okay, right. Think of the next game. I'm gonna go look at the bottom of the table, and Plymouth are still bottom of the table. Michael, after losing 1-0 to QPR at home yesterday, after the teenage wonder Ryan Coley scored again. It's his fourth goal of the season.
Good
Um,
finish.
it leaves them and it leaves the Argyle really at the bottom of the championship, really badly. Is this going to be a lot for them now to stay up, or do you think that they're already gone down?
Uh, I think again, like I mean, it's going to be the similar with a lot of clubs that have got different aims. It's dependent on what they end up doing in this window. I think. I mean, obviously they've got their new head coach coming in, which I believe I've already forgotten how you pronounce his name. Oh no, here we go. Mulich,
Mullich,
Muslich.
yeah, Mullich.
Oh, I had it
William
right the
Mullich,
first time.
yeah.
Okay, fair enough then. Um, no, with no, with Mullich, it's obviously this was a game I think that Plymouth fans would deem as winnable. Even though I do rate Marty Cifuentes, and I think QPR squad's now starting to show that they had a few injuries coming back. It makes a difference. Do I think Plymouth are down? No, obviously. I mean, 5 points can be overturned with a couple of good results, but I do think that. I mean, look, and the big thing that they've done this window is deny bids from Burnley for Morgan Whittaker,
Yeah,
which I think. Okay, I'll rephrase. I know he's not been that great this season, but if Morgan Whittaker goes, or if they're without Ibrahim Sissoko for a lot of the rest of this season, then yes, I think they are almost as good as down. But yeah, I mean, you just never. Yeah, I don't really like to write anybody off at this point, but well, actually, if you look at the stats here, shots wise, they got dominated by QPR, and I think if you're getting dominated at home by QPR, with the greatest of respect to QPR, if you're Plymouth, that isn't really good. You need to be able to target, and obviously they've got two games coming up against their third and fourth teams in the league. They've host Burnley on Wednesday night, I think it is,
yeah,
and then they obviously travel up to Sunderland next week. So I'm obviously not wishing them any luck next Saturday because I hope they get beat. But as whether they're down, I think it's going to be a big ask to keep them up. I think ultimately they shouldn't have appointed Rooney for me as far as I was concerned. I think that was just not the sort of appointment that was really going to get Plymouth really going this season in terms of beyond just staying up. And you got to remember, second season syndrome, like what? I mean, obviously Plymouth are nowhere near as bad as this, but look at what Rotherham had last season when they stayed up the first year, gave everything into staying up. And then the second season, it just fell off a cliff. Now, Plymouth squad is a lot better than Rotherham's, I will
yeah.
stress that. But
No doubt, we can
yeah,
agree on
it's
that. Yeah.
absolutely better than Rotherham's was last year. But yeah, I think I wouldn't rule anything out because football's weird. But I think it would be a pretty big. It'd be a big surprise to me if Plymouth aren't one of the three teams relegated at the end of the season. What do you think?
I do agree what you just said. I think 5 points can be overturned. It's just a question of if to keep someone like Morgan Whittaker beyond January is going to be vital because of the. I don't think Burnley will stop bidding for him until there's agreement. I think that's it. I think it still could happen. But one of the things I would say is with what happened with Rude is you should spend more time focusing on the players and less time bringing girls to your home where you co-lead. And now I've just found that he's in the deal to try to join Match of the Day for the rest of the season to pundit. But you might really get them to WBC too. So
Sorry, say that last bit again.
I said Rudy is going to be joining Match of the Day as a pundit. Bloody hell might really get
Yeah, I
them to
saw.
BBC
Did you
too.
did you know what was quite funny? Did you know what was quite funny actually? I think some post on Facebook put something like Rooney's getting a point. We're going to be coming on joining Match of the Day as a pundit. Get them relegated to be. Oh yeah, that's what you said.
That's
Get
what
them
I just
relegated
said.
to
Exactly
BBC
what I
Two.
just said.
Yeah, I wasn't listening.
No, it's okay. I knew you wasn't, and it's Sunday as well. So
Sorry,
do you
what
know
was that? I
what?
wasn't listening to that bit either. No, yeah, no. I know when I saw that post, I must admit I burst out laughing. That was actually really, really funny.
Yeah, yeah. But
Have you noticed something weird though? I just want to quickly add to this. You know when you get some people that just age really, really poorly.
yes, I
Like,
know Rooney
why?
has.
Why does Wayne Rooney look like he's in his mid-40s
I
already?
don't listen. It's an English thing, right? I think it is an English thing. Maybe it's not a Jamaican thing because listen, my mum's even at 60, she still looks young as
Oh,
hell.
you'll age all right. It's fine. You're not Wayne
Yeah, yeah.
Rooney.
But
You're
for
not Wayne Rooney.
you,
It's
for
okay.
the British, even our British, for most of the British, I don't know what it is. It's just probably they don't groom themselves properly, and that what makes them look a bit more old, and so
Well, so far I've not reached that stage yet. I'm 33 at the minute, and I think I've had people assuming that I'm still late 20s. So I'm a good sign. I'll take that.
yeah, yeah, fair.
I'm not aging totally terribly. But either way, I'll tell you another person who's aged poorly. Charlie Adam. Remember when the days he used to play, and then when I watched him on a
Yeah,
punditry, I was like, oh my god, like that's not Charlie Adam. That's only like what's like less than 10 years ago he stopped
I
playing.
know. A lot of people were shocked too. Yeah, I was as well too because I thought, bloody hell, yeah, he's aged so rapidly. The way his parents, he wasn't like that. But even 12, 15 years ago, at least, would he? Yeah.
Yeah, well again. Yeah, maybe just for Jamaican people, you're fine out there. Just go and age like fine wine, and you'll look mid-20s even when you're 50.
Hey, it's the sunshine, okay? We get the sunshine. That's what it is, right? So
Oh, so you get your nice vitamin D in you. That's all right then.
yeah, yeah. Well, it depends on if you're up in the mountains. If you're closer to the sun, which where most of my family is in a way. To be quite honest, with you. Yeah, yeah. I can't argue with that. But I'm not gonna lie. It depends on the storm where we get hurricanes. So
Sorry, Anthony, because Anthony Herbert watching this. Yeah, I don't think he came here to watch us talk about premature aging, and getting
oh
ready to
no, no,
Jamaican aging.
Anthony's cool. He's cool, man. I think he knows anyway. Especially
Yeah,
he's a regular. So
fair
yeah.
enough then. Oh
Ah,
my
and
god,
hello.
you had to make it really look. It really looked like he's aged. That's how. Is that the measurement that Andy's using? Where he just goes, if you've aged worse than Wayne Rooney, then you know you're looking old, even when you're still not.
True.
Oh, that's funny. I bet that was a great weekend for him, wasn't it? Leicester losing and Coventry winning.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You'll be looking forward to them back over this coming summer.
Oh, we're going down the dig route.
I am going down the dig route. I have to. He keep this. I want my social life back. Fuck his social life. I want my social life back, so I can at least can watch my NFL Sundays without doing the show. Those is can watch my NFL Sundays, which I've had to sacrifice most to do this for you guys, and for the public, for the viewers. While Anthony's going drinking his way on Sunday night he's got school. He's got to go to work the next day. So to be
And
quite
then
honest with
he's
you,
drunk. He's
it would
drunk.
be better for me, we swap around. I can get back my life, watching NFL, watching my beloved Packers. I know we did shy in the playoffs last week.
Speaking of shite, look at his next comment.
Yeah, I know. I already, yeah,
Carver's still shite. Oh, mate, honestly. Oh, I wish they'd got each other in the FA Cup. That would have been
I
priceless.
know. I wanted that as well too, just to see the smile wipe off his face.
Do you know, to
If
be
it,
fair, right? One thing that would make laugh and laugh, to be fair, even if Leicester did get relegated this season, was if so.
Listen, I want WWE as well too. It doesn't mean it's so difficult. Well, okay, because you were, I don't. There's a difference. So I have to. I've got all the time to watch it, and I still can mingle around, meet with people, and the cat. Have my own time doing this.
And he's spending his time doing the championship review show.
And the
Well,
Saturday show every morning as well. So at least put my name, give me some respect on
put
that.
some respect on this man's name. Not
Yeah.
this way. Just yeah, honestly. Yeah. But I was going to say, what would make Ant laugh is if, for example, you might as well segue on to Coventry as the next game. To be fair, if we're going to talk about Coventry, but like, I think it's good on Netflix.
It
No,
is.
what
I'll give you that. It does look good in it. I kind of enjoyed it actually. Quite honestly, I can't argue with that.
doing like a live watch along of it. See what, although you
Well,
wouldn't
do you
be
know
you
what?
you.
Do you know what? I think I've got Reese. I've got Reese who does that a lot up here anyway. Reese on the World Football Podcast, he does
Yeah.
that a lot of the wrestling stuff
I was
anyway.
going to say the
So.
only thing I'd recommend if you do is that you can't have any sound or any images from it because
Oh
copyright
no,
stuff.
no, I
You know,
know,
but
no. And do you know what? I don't know what Reese is doing on for WrestleMania this year, but I might get involved because I might decide to join him and what with his content and join him on that. I will speak to him because I do need a guest host next Saturday because Doug is away. Oh, so I do need a guest co-host. So yeah.
well, what I was going to say is that what would make Ant laugh is even if Leicester get relegated, if Coventry ended up somehow going down to League One, so he'll go something like, "We might have gone down, but could be worse. Could be Coventry, and we've still got our £100 million bench and
He
£250
was
million
saying
starting
that
11."
it won't be £100 million bench much longer. So he needs to, yeah. It'll
Yeah,
be like a £5-10 million bench.
well, it looks like they're going to get 13 million for Tom Cannon, so that's going to add its value, devalue their bench a bit more.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
I'll tell you
true.
what. Well, I'll tell you what. You might as if you go on to Coventry, just to piss Ant off really because it's really funny.
I am
But
going to go to Coventry
yeah,
since,
go on then.
yeah.
Did you see the winner from Thomas Asante?
Yes. Oh, what a goal.
What a finish! Do you know shots that go under the bar? Look like when they hit the bar and then crash under the bar and go in. There's just something that they're just so aesthetically pleasing, aren't they? Oh, what's he said now? £100 million could buy the entirety of Coventry, not just the Tin Pot Football Club.
Whoa. He's fighting guns there, man. Bloody
I
hell.
know he's on. He
Oh
is on
my
it tonight.
god, bro. Oh hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
Yeah, that yeah,
Oh
I mean,
no, we're
yeah.
back with the sound effects again.
I needed that. I thought he was, yeah.
You know which sound effect you missed the trick with? There was it do. When
Yeah, I
that noise
know.
when I said to Ant, you just go like, oh well, Leicester losing, Coventry winning a weekend. That'd be Ant's had better weekends, hasn't he?
Yeah. Oh God, he has. Yeah,
Absolutely.
no, go back to Coventry. What a good win for him against Bristol City. I know that's why Annie's not on here tonight because we would have left this if Bristol City won. So later in the show, but it's a good thing because he's been linked with a move away, Thomas Asante, and
Stoke and Blackburn apparently been linked with him.
yeah, and Coventry rejected it. It was about nearly 2 million, something like that, 2-3 million at
Well,
least.
they
So
signed him for something like 3 million, I think, in the summer. So I'm not surprised they've rejected that. But apparently Lampard wants to keep him. So, well, put it if he scores goals like that, then no wonder he wants to keep him. Especially with Haji Wright still being out injured. So
yeah,
you know what? I've said all along that I think we've been in agreement the Coventry squad has underachieved this season for what the quality that actually is within that squad. But ultimately, Lampard's this season's probably about sort of trying to get the squad in Lampard's image and sort of get it used to the way he wants to play. And look, I'm not going to write out Coventry for the playoffs, for example. What the gap's 9 points, but it's a pretty big ask ahead of a lot of other teams above them in order to get to that point. But as far as this game's concerned, I mean, I suppose as Annie would probably tell you, it's a Bristol City sort of thing, isn't it? It'd be typical for them to go and win away at Sheffield United, for example, and then go
yeah,
and lose away at Coventry. It was just the typical championshipy sort of thing, really. But no, really, really good finish. Obviously, Naki Wells had a really good chance, I think, in the first half when it was
indeed, yeah.
not quite as bad as a one-on-one, but it wasn't far off a one-on-one when he should have scored. But no, from Coventry, I think what they've got to make sure at the minute is just keep getting themselves well away from that bottom three, which again, I think they will. I think there'll be too much there for them. They'll win enough home games. And apparently they're unbeaten at home, I think, since Lampard took charge,
It
which is,
has, yeah.
yeah,
Which I think is needed because I think Robbins, Matt Robbins before he lost his job, I think that was his quality that he had prior to
yeah.
the poor start. So
Well, yeah, exactly. So I think from Coventry's point of view, just you make sure you just back it up with getting a win, get a clean sheet at home, a great goal to win the game. There's not much to complain about there. You just make sure you get it away. And I can tell you're looking at Ant's comment by the smirk on your face.
yeah,
What quality there? A mid-table club at best in his top once his sixth season. Can I
mate.
just point out, to be
Listen,
fair, they
listen,
still can.
let me just say, where's your team again? And where's the quality that you had probably about 5 years ago when you bloody blew it not once but twice to get the Champions League. You blew it not once but twice. You won the FA Cup, so you might as well back off a little bit because you have lots. So you had to. You didn't get just. You were spending too much money, didn't you? No wonder the Premier League's catching up with your asses again.
Oh yeah, apparently Jan said that they are screwed if they get relegated with
Yeah, I
FFP
definitely
things.
school, which I will be loving to see. You know, just
Oh,
which
I
is
bet you're loving that.
I am loving that.
Don't
100%.
worry, Ant. I'll join you next season. It's fine. Bless you. No, but to be fair, no pressure playing at home. There's no chance to get on the team.
Yeah,
I swear, Ant hates Coventry more than Forest.
I know. And he's not bragging about them that how they're in the top four.
Or is it because he's going? Well, I can't really criticize them. They're in the top four in the Premier League, but I can't have a go at Coventry because they're like mid-table championship.
Yeah, I don't get that. If you hate, well, you hate your rivals for doing well in the top four, while you lot are down in the bottom three, and you're telling me that you hate Coventry more than Nottingham Forest. Get out of here.
Well, if you want to make it sound even worse, sorry, Ant in advance, but you could say there's only 4 league positions in the football pyramid between you two at the minute.
Yeah, that
Was
is a
it
good
3?
point. So, it's a good
3,
point.
sorry, but yeah, obviously I'm aware one's Prem, but yeah, no, from Coventry's point of view, good win, as I said, and for Bristol City, it's just Bristol City things, isn't it? What more is there to say? I mean, I'm trying to look at the next. I'm trying to look at the next time. What's the next fixtures? Okay. Oh, what's this one? First time winning things since dinosaurs were walking the earth.
Hey, how many Champions League did you win? Did you win at Leicester? Won at Leicester. How many? Oh, none. Okay. How
I
many?
will say in
First
his
one?
defense, he's not on here. He's not on here to in person to defend
Two.
himself.
Not first of all, two. And do you know what? If they get back into the Champions League next season, you'll be like, oh, fuck, they're back in for where they started. So, oh,
Same amount. And
he's
Coventry
gone.
out of
He's
trouble.
going down that road, isn't he? I knew he was going to go down that road.
Same amount. Actually, Ant, serious question. If Forest did actually finish in the Champions League, how would you feel about that? Because
Yeah,
if your answer's going to be gutted, then you know how I felt when Newcastle got into it about 2 years ago.
he's got a point. Actually, yeah, that's a good question. Actually,
Yeah, and by the way, to be fair, I have to put up with my rivals being the richest club in the world now. So, like, I think I've become hardened to pretty much anything at this point. But anyway, no, but I'll quickly finish before Anne puts his next comment in. Yeah, Bristol City, I've seen that they've got Sheffield Wednesday away midweek, which is obviously a pretty tough game. And then they've got Blackburn. So it wouldn't shock me next weekend if Bristol City beat Blackburn at Ashton Gate. It's the championship. It's one where you can lose to someone crap one week and then beat someone who's half all right the next week. But yeah, from
yeah,
Thomas Asante, good for him. Good goal of worthy of winning any game.
absolutely a good worthy goal as well. Let's go to Pride Park. Watford winning 2-0 away at Derby County. I don't know how Derby County had hit hit the chat
They hit the woodwork like 4 times, I think. I'm sure they did.
3 or 4 times hit the woodwork, and good fair play to Watford to get that win. Yeah, okay. Before we do get onto that, would it not be too hours? I'll be no if they won the FA Cup.
Oh, no, if they won the FA Cup. Oh, dear.
Amy's man, I think he'll be annoyed. He'll be more than annoyed if they did get top 4.
Well, and to be honest, hey, look at the bright side. You'll probably get to the FA Cup quarter final, so it's all right. As in Leicester, Man United, I don't trust them.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah.
I mean, I know that obviously Leicester are down there, but like, have you seen how bad trophies are? What the game's all about? Yeah. Hang on, so that's it. We won the Papa John's EFL trophy a few years ago. Get in. Yeah, and don't worry, I know he means major trophies, not tin pot ones that we had to play in. Right, no, back to Freiburg. Right, first of all, I think Watford and Derby apparently have both been on pretty bad losing streaks, I believe. So, from Watford's point of view, great to get a win. And again, I keep reiterating this, like Tom Cleverley, considering the instability that usually is at Watford, and considering everything that's happening there, and I think their fans still aren't particularly pleased with the ownership.
No,
He's
I think the ownership's still trying to sell the club.
yeah.
It's
So
been on the
all
back
things
foot.
considered, the fact
Yeah.
he's got Watford where they are is incredible. I mean, there's probably only, I'd say, Reggie Labrise at Sunderland and John Eustace at Blackburn that are arguably doing better jobs than, in terms of what expectations there were going into the campaign, than say Tom Cleverley. Do you see the huge tackle like 15 seconds?
No, I didn't actually.
No, I don't think so. What does he mean? The Derby Watford game, or have Leicester played Watford in the FA Cup or something?
No, the recent one, like I think it was yesterday's game. If I'm correct.
And see if you can put a link to it.
Yeah, And we'll see. We'll watch ourselves later on, and then we'll
Yeah, absolutely. I'm keen to see this now. But to be fair, from Derby's point of view, like, how on earth did they not score? Like, I know that obviously some of their fans are quite a bit, not disillusioned, but they're getting a bit frustrated with Paul Warne's style of play or Paul Warne in general.
Yeah.
But to be fair to him and his team, like, they hit the woodwork 4 times. If you hit the woodwork 4 times, then I mean, unless it's like a shot that hits the outside of the post or the upside of the bar or something. But but when you generally hit the woodwork that many times, you've got to say that they are unlucky to a degree not to have scored, or you could say they're just wasteful for not finishing their chances. I tell you what, I didn't realise just how close Derby are to the bottom three because they were 1 point outside the relegation zone, and I thought they were about 4 or 5 points clear of it at one stage.
No, I think when the game gets Leeds, they got slowly dragged back into it on that not having that winning run recently. So they have been pretty much since the game gets Leeds. I think after Boxing Day, they have been
Yeah.
sucked back right in it.
To be honest, I think, and I've kind of treading all ground saying this, but I think this is a big season for Paul Warne because obviously before this season, every single season he's been in the Championship, he's been relegated. Now, again, I keep saying Derby should have more resources than Rotherham, and in some ways that increases the more pressure on Paul Warne because then there's bigger expectations. Because Derby are a much bigger club than what Rotherham are, as Ant knows with them Rotherham fans complaining about Leicester's £100 million bench being worth more than their club probably. Which is something I know for a fact Anne would probably say, which he was milking quite a bit.
Yeah.
But I'll never see him so happy when he said that he just saw someone like Rotherham get relegated. It was quite funny. But with Derby, yeah. And we're the same much too much negative of them because they play us on Tuesday night, and I'm like, yeah, but which I'll get onto that later on. But you would say, from my perspective, is a game that if we want to keep pace with the top two, we need to be winning. But obviously, you don't have a God-given right to win any game, do you? So I'm well aware that Derby at home of this season have been half all right. So I'm like, oh, I mean, even with the quality you've got, it took you, what was it, 78 minutes to score past them? So, oh no, what's this?
To be fair, my local bus stop has the same resources as Rotherham.
Right, and I've got a question. See if you can put this. Name your top 10 clubs in England that you hate the most.
Yeah,
I want to see what. So I'm guessing it'll be Coventry, Forest, Rotherham. Straight away, that's three of them.
Aston Villa.
Aston Villa, yeah, that'll be amongst them. So yeah, we've guessed 4 of them already. But yeah, no, Derby's a win. Like I said before, we don't have a God-given right to beat Derby, but Derby at home have been okay, dare I say. But obviously the caveat is, I don't think they've played many of the teams at the top at Pride Park this season. I mean, they played Borough, beat them, to be fair. That was an incredible win.
They played against Norwich, lost.
They played against Norwich. To be fair, against Norwich, they were absolutely robbed.
Yeah, they were robbed.
By shocking decisions, to be fair. And obviously you say Watford they've played now, so
they played us as well.
Leeds as well. I think they've still got to play Sheffield United at home, Burnley at home, Sunderland at home. Obviously,
yeah.
I've got a feeling they have to play Blackburn at home. Yeah, they do.
No, they do. They have Blackburn because they went. It was like I think the first opening game of the season. It was against Blackburn.
Fair enough then. Fair enough. So I mean, in terms of the big hitters at the top, in terms of the top 4. They've only played Leeds at Pride Park so far. So I get the impression that it might be that the home form and away form switch a little bit, where away from home they're probably not going to have as many on paper as tricky games, but obviously Derby away, I don't think they get many. I think they've only won once or twice away from home so far this season. I know Ant will love this because Coventry was one of those wins, but I can't remember if they've won an away game since then. Either way, yeah, I think if it gets to a point where Paul Warne if the fans are frustrated with Paul Warne, then his days could very well be numbered. And I think he would probably get sacked if Derby get relegated. So, yeah, I'm keen to see. But yeah, as far as Watford's concerned, great win, and Derby have just hopefully after Tuesday can plug on. Okay. Oh God, what's he said now?
This is his teams that he hates. So Coventry, Forest, Derby, yeah, okay, fair enough. Manchester United and Arsenal.
I'm surprised you're not mentioning Rotherham.
Yeah, I was going to say that as well.
Unless he doesn't consider them big enough to hate. I don't know.
I want to think of the reason why with Arsenal. I don't know why with this one. I want to know the reason why Arsenal. Is it because was it the time when they tried to bid for Jamie Vardy and then they tried to get him a couple of seats after they won the Premier League? So that's all I can think of. United. That's not surprising in a way.
No, I think a lot of clubs hate Man United.
Yeah, okay, that's true. Yeah, a lot of them hate Man United.
I mean, I used to until they beat Newcastle in the final and then stopped them getting into Europe last season. So I've got a bit more tolerant of Man United recently. And they've got Amad Diallo, which is always a big plus.
Yeah.
Right. And they finally started realising that he's actually a pretty good player, and they're finally playing him.
Rather ain't much worth the time
Oh,
hated. Okay, yeah.
so it's the definition of not big enough to hate. I like it.
Yeah, not yeah.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, a couple of the clubs I don't like are like Wigan and Birmingham, which might seem quite random, but both of them have been very arsey with Sunderland in recent years. So I'm like, oh, well, screw yous, bye. But
Uh,
anyway, yeah. Anyways, point is there. Concerning times for Derby if they can't get themselves out of the rut, and I was going to say for Norwich there for a minute, and obviously Watford gets back on track with the playoffs. Although I suspect with Watford, the expectation is just to get to 50 points as quick as possible, and then if they're still in the playoff run, say by the March international break, then you never know. Then go for it. But no, great. Again, it's just re-emphasising the good job Tom Cleverley's doing.
yeah, absolutely. He's done a really good job this season, which is surprising after the amount of manager they've had over the last couple of years. Watford. Um, right, let's got a few games left to go. I'm gonna go to Middlesbrough, and the last 2-1 away at Portsmouth. Matt Ritchie scoring his first 2 goals back since he rejoined the club. I'd say Latte Laugh. He's been linked with a move away to
Atlanta.
Atlanta United. Do you think that he will go?
Two things quickly. Arsenal is the entitlement. Half of the show's reading Ant's comments. Arsenal is the entitlement of their online fans and acting as if they are Real Madrid when they are closer to Tottenham. What are you trying to say, blood? Do you want me to go full AFTV? Do you remember, was it Ty who talks like that?
I hate Ty, man. Fuck that, man. I hate Ty.
No, hang on. No, it's not Ty, is it? Ty's
It's
the one who.
Troops. It's either Troops or
Troops, that's it. No, it's Troops.
Troops. Yeah, Troops.
Ty's the one who Ty's the one who a lot of people accuse of being delusionally optimistic.
Yeah, he's way delusional optimistic. Okay.
Oh, it's fun. Yeah. When no, it was just appropriate. Right, sorry, your oh, what game was it going? Oh yeah, Portsmouth, Middlesbrough. Well, first and foremost, I don't know if you saw the sad news that apparently the person who had a medical emergency at Pompey, the Pompey game, apparently has passed away,
Yeah,
which is also which is also going to be. It's also, I mean, again, it's a cliche, but it's true. It puts football into perspective on this thing, and again, I don't know what on earth we'll have to do to stop, but the amount of medical emergencies, particularly since lock. I'm not saying it's because of the pandemic or what happened with
I
it,
think
but
this has been
but
happening a lot more over the last
yeah,
couple of years now.
since we've come out of lockdown, I've
Yeah,
noticed there must be at least about a couple of dozen of them, at least a dozen of them a season, where someone is going to a game and is not making it back home. Now, if that's true and this person's passed away, then that's just, yeah. I think in a way it's quite poetic that Pompey won actually, because of obviously it was from the Pompey end, I believe.
it was.
So,
Yeah,
yeah, so rest in peace to the if this person has passed away, thoughts are with their
it
friends and
did.
family.
That person did pass away. The club did.
Yeah, so yeah, in which case, thoughts with their friends and family, because obviously that's going to be a really sad time for them. And yeah, Ant's right. It does seem to be a lot more frequent that this sort of thing is happening. It's getting quite scary, actually.
It is
But
getting quite scary at the
yeah,
moment. Yeah.
yeah. But on to the actual football itself. Yeah, right. Latilla. Yeah, I'm surprised because obviously he's been linked with Leicester, as Ant's just said there.
Yeah, and he was
So
linked with us. He's been linked with Leeds as well too, which I think that was blown over. But
I think the Leeds links agent talk.
I know that's
You
why
know,
I did get. But I'm not surprised going to the US because Newcastle are not letting Almiron go back to Atlanta, so that might for £10 million. So it looks
oh
like they
yeah,
are.
absolutely. Yeah, there could be something in that. I mean, I think it's £18 million. Apparently, the bid's been so
Yeah.
going for, and it seems like Lat's agent's a bit like, well, a
Yes,
bit
he's
like
been
that, just
talkative. He's been talkative.
running his mouth off basically, and
Yeah.
it seems a bit similar to Ian Hart, obviously Jack Clark's agent. So wouldn't surprise me if his agent's Ian Hart.
See, Ian Hatt did do that, and he did that before he went to Ipswich because he was linked back to Rose, and he was doing a lot more talking. I'm like, you're from a Leeds United player, you know not to do talking too much. I just
I know I don't understand people who think like that, but either way, yeah, Lat's a funny one because if he goes, then I mean, I trust that Tommy Conway, for example, is good enough to be up front for Borough and score a number. He's still got nearly or on double figures itself. Conway, I mean, but yeah, I mean that was Lat's 11th goal of the season, I think it was.
yeah,
And bearing in mind, I don't think he played the first handful of games or didn't start them anyway for Middlesbrough. So if Middlesbrough get 18 million quid, then obviously that's a good thing in the sense that obviously it's the buying and selling um, trade when you don't have parachute payments. But on the other hand, if you sell Lat and you want to be signing someone, then unfortunately, when you're in January, and particularly when you're looking for a striker, as Leicester are proven with Cannon to a degree, like a lot of people are charging extreme rates for players, but that's the market. So I'm surprised Borough haven't been linked with Cannon actually, to tell you the truth, because if they're preparing for Lat to go, then that I think that I mean it looks like Cannon's on to Sheffield United. It would seem, but I would have thought Borough would have been a good place for him to go to because Borough create a lot of chances. Like,
You do.
and for me, but to get onto the football itself, look, it was obviously a decent, well taken finish from Latte Lat. What is typical Latte Lat things. Matt Ritchie, obviously the Pompey born and bred boy, scores twice to beat Middlesbrough, which is, and I will say from Pompey's point of view, this is an incredible win. The main story is about how Pompey came from behind and at home I can't remember exactly all of their recent home results, but I know at home they've started to really pick up form
They have
recently, and
done,
and it's yeah, and it's exactly the sort of thing that I've been saying that for Portsmouth, if they're going to stay up, Fratton Park has to be literally Fortress Fratton because I watched a bit of them against Blackburn in midweek for the game in hand, that one of the games in hand they had, and they were once they went 1-0 down, they were pretty abject. So to go respond from that to beating at least offensively a really good Middlesbrough side and come behind to beat them was really, really encouraging.
yeah.
And it just, I mean, Pompey, I think, are still in the bottom three, but it gives them a massive boost. And the bottom of that table is so tightly congested at the moment that one or two good results can shoot you up to like 18th or something. It's just that close at the moment. From Middlesbrough's point of view, I get the impression, I mean, apparently there was a lot of distaste after the game. I could be wrong on that, but I think apparently there were a lot of, obviously there's going to be a lot of frustrations towards Carrick and the players and everything, but at the end of the day, and Ant's made a good point. If well, maybe says they are crap. I think there's worse teams than Pompey down the bottom. Put it that way. But they are right. I think particularly at home, if they outfight and battle everyone, it gives them the good chance of staying up. From Middlesbrough's point of view, this game is a perfect example of why I've never once felt, even at the start of the season, Borough was seriously in a top two race because while Borough have scored, I think it's something like either the second or third most goals in the league behind yourselves. And I think Norwich was the other one that was mentioned. So the Borough might be second top scorers.
Yeah.
But they're letting too many goals. They're letting far too many goals for a team that is going to be amongst a top two sort of battle. I'm just going to quite quickly get the actual table up because I want to see how many goals Borough. Yeah, hang on. So Borough. Yeah, there you go. So Middlesbrough have let in 34 goals,
And it's
which for
10 goal difference. 10 goal difference, yeah.
context, Hull, who are 21st at the minute, have conceded only 2 more than Middlesbrough. So while I rate, when Borough click and when they're on it going forward, they're very good. They are very, very good at being, and I wouldn't be surprised if in spells Borough show themselves to be one of the best teams in the league in terms of those individual spells, say 15, 20-minute spells. But they don't seem to be able to. Sometimes I get the impression with Borough, they sometimes try to win the Borough way, or they don't know how to win at all. And what I mean by win the Borough way is win with slick attacking football and really, take the game to the opposition and everything. And that's true. But sometimes you need to do the streetwise sort of way in route in order to win a game. Like, I'll give you a good example, and we'll talk about the Burnley Sunderland game later, but I don't particularly like him. But look at James Trafford. That is a streetwise way to get a result for your team. I'm not sure Borough have that in their DNA, particularly at the back, to be able to do that. Because if you look at Matt Ritchie's second goal, fair enough. The strike hits the post, goes in from long distance. That I can't remember if it took a deflection or not. But either
It
way,
did, yeah.
either way, that's hard to stop. Fair enough. But you look at the first one; it was almost identical to Latte Lat's goal when the scorer rounds the keeper, taps it into an empty net. The fence is absolutely nowhere to be seen. So from Middlesbrough's point of view, if they are going to want to get into the playoffs, which if you look at it on paper going forward, they should get in the playoffs, then for me they have to cut those things out.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to let that detract away from how big a win this is for Portsmouth. That is an incredible effort.
It is an incredible effort from the Pompey side as well. Also, they have been linked with Connor Cody as well. I hope it happens to catch them. He's a full-time podcaster and a part-time defender.
Well, Portsmouth have been linked with Connor Cody. Well, I'll tell you what, that's a great signing for them.
That would be
I suspect he means Borough, but yeah, that would be quite funny if he actually went to Portsmouth. Well, he couldn't play against us if he goes to Portsmouth because we'll play them twice. But no, yeah. So on the one hand, while this is the typical sort of result that typifies the Championship and the lack of consistency with Borough as to why they're not at least more comfortable in the playoffs, it's about Portsmouth. This, all right, yeah. I had a feeling Ant meant Borough.
That would have been interesting if we were possible. Like, what? Yeah.
That's it. That would have been an exceptional sign. That'd be one of the signings of the season for Pompey. To be fair, have you seen a Pompey signed Isaac Hayden yet?
That deal should be coming close. But I thought it was linked with another club as well, but I thought it was going to be Pompey. But yeah, we're not. I think he's still linked to them. He's not signed yet.
Agent Matt Ritchie. Matt Ritchie will play a part, I'm sure, because they know each other from the Newcastle days. So that'll be something for Portsmouth if that signing does go through. But no, fair play to John Messino fair play to John Messino and to Portsmouth. You can't knock it, and they've obviously got. I'm just looking at the next two games. They've got Stoke at home on Wednesday night. Huge win. Sorry, huge game for them to back it up. Hopefully with another win for them. Then they've got West Brom away next Saturday, and then the following Tuesday they've got Millwall at home. The game that I think was meant to be played, but the floodlights went out or something.
Yeah.
There was electricity power cut, which is quite funny still. But no, I like Pompey. I hope they stay up.
Yeah, we'll see towards the season. Right, we've got a few games left to go. Let's go to the Den. And Hull got away with 1-0 win for an own goal by Jake Cooper. Like I said, the game lacked a lot of quality, Michael. I'm not going to lie. Wasn't the best game, but Hull eventually getting the 3 points was important for them.
So, oh yeah, I mean, at that when you're down the bottom, you take whatever luck you can get. And Ruben Sellers seems to get a really good tune out of those out of the players that he's got there. And obviously, look, you won't want me mentioning this, but the coming back from 3-1 down against Leeds seems to have given them a new boost of confidence. Where you can come back from against for me the best team in the division to get something. So to go away at Millwall, yeah, okay, look, Millwall are kind of like slap bang in the middle table sort of plotter, aren't they? Alex Neil, obviously, you guys know my thoughts on Alex Neil, but he's competent enough, I think, to keep them well away from relegation danger. I'm not once thinking about Millwall in that regard, unless they have a really bad run of form. But then I suspect they're too far away from the playoffs to make any sort of real impact on them.
Yeah.
So I think with Alex Neil, I think it's about getting to know the players for the rest of the season while getting enough results to not tread water, but keep well away from the bottom 3 going into next season. But from Hull, like I said, when you're down the bottom, you take anything you can get, and that is and the Den was once billed as a. I mean, it's maybe not as much recently, but it was built as one of the hardest places this season to go to. Really, when you look at it, like neither of our teams won there, for
No.
example. Burnley didn't win there either, so it's a really tricky place to go. So from Mirrell's, only Jan can make this. I hope Hull stay up. I had an unreal katsu curry there last year. Oh, I love that. That's got to be class. That
Mm-hmm.
Hull versus Leicester opening team in the Championship next season. That'd be something,
He'll be
wouldn't it?
he'll be trying to go to Hull again to get that Cats of Curry.
Well, you never know. Hang on, are Hull still in the FA Cup? I don't think they are.
No, they don't get knocked out by Doncaster, which I got that prediction right on the last week's Saturday show. I said Doncaster's going to beat Hull.
Oh, yeah, it was on penalties, wasn't it?
On penalties, yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay, never mind. Ignore that then. Scratch that. But yeah, no. But from Hull, I think Ruben Sellers is as good an appointment as Hull can make, really. And it seems to me that they've kind of realised that the Tim Walter heart attack style football was probably not going to work and was probably going to get Hull relegated. Because as much as I said before that I'm not surprised Hull are down where they are because of the quality they lost in the summer, the squad's not bad enough to the point where it should go down, really. So I think there's enough there in terms of Abu Kamara. I mean, Liam Miller's out for the season as well. Mason Burstow, I mean, if he's got a tune out of Mason Burstow, then Ruben Sellers is a really good manager.
Yeah.
But no, from Hull's point of view, cracking win away at the Den. Again, it's just about keeping your head above the bottom 3 and you keep and then start to maybe pull away from safety. So no, fair play. Really good result.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go to the Kassam Stadium. What a goal from goal! What a goal!
So Cameron Branahan
in the 6th minute with the Oxford winning 1-0 against Blackburn. Like I said, that free kick, that was his first goal since the opening day of the season.
Was it? Wow. Has he been injured for a lot of it? Has he been injured since then for a lot of it?
No, he hasn't. He has been playing, but he's not scored much goals. He hasn't scored as much since
okay.
not for a while. So that was his first goal since the opening day of the season. But yeah, so
okay, well, fair play. First of all, fair play to Cameron Brannigan. Expertly, sweetly hit free kick. As good a hit as a free kick as you can imagine. And again, as I've said a few times, Championship sort of standard result, really, where you've got Blackburn, who are, 5th, going away to Oxford. Obviously, Oxford are in the sort of Gary Rowett honeymoon phase at the moment. So I actually think Oxford
2 draws, which is
absolutely. Including, I think they won 1-0 away at Millwall, which I'm sure Gary Rowett would have absolutely loved himself. So, no, but this is what I mean. I was really dead set on Oxford going down until they appointed Gary Rowett. And now I think they'll be really solid and really be up there with a shot of staying up. And I think they probably will stay up, actually, come to think of it. So, Gary Rowett, and it's weird now, maybe it's start time to give the Oxford board a bit of weird credit because obviously they faced a lot of stick on the back of Des Buckingham getting sacked. And I can see why, but it may be that they took the emotion out of it and went, We want to stay up here, and we think there's a chance of staying up. And so I think if so Gary Rowett keeps them up, the board can turn around and go, vindicated. It was absolutely the right, as harsh as it might have seemed on Buckingham, it was absolutely the right decision. And so far, it seems to be proven to be. But no, obviously, look, again, a win against a team in the top 6 at the moment. I think Oxford fans will be buzzing with that, and rightly so.
Yeah, they will be buzzing as well with that as well.
Have you seen what Hans put again? He goes, Casey Palmer is really stepping up in his career with
Yeah,
the move to a
yeah,
bigger.
yeah.
Actually, I'll come on to this when we talk about the Sheffield United game. But go on.
Yeah. So
Actually,
going to Sheffield United. Sheffield United winning 2-1 against Norwich City.
Harrison Burrows show.
Burrows scoring the first goal, hit the post in both posts in the 22nd minute, went over the line. Then a penalty. He scored for the penalty in the 58th minute. How I know Norwich is missing Bodger Size because of his ridiculous what he did with the incident that was spitting, and he's now suspended for about 6 games now. So was
Yeah,
this?
Norwich have been missing quite a few players, to be fair. But from Sheffield
Yeah,
United, but for Sheffield United, that's you can only play what's put in front of you, aren't they? So when I heard the players that I had half a hope that Norwich could give Sheffield United a game, but I thought once I got told who they were missing, I was like, yeah,
yeah,
Sheffield United will make comfortable work of that, won't they? If Norwich had everybody fully fit, and I've said this before, when Norwich have everyone fully fit and they have their strongest starting 11, I think it's a top 6 standard team. On the top you're looking at
yeah.
Signs, Kenny McLean, Josh Sargent. Jack Stacey, Angus Gunn. Even there's across the team, there's really, really top end championship quality. But I get the impression, and I'll quickly mention, but quickly from Sheffield United's point of view, like it's really good. Harrison Burrows, obviously, it's a bit fortunate that he goes off both posts and goes in. I wish we got luck like that.
I
But to be
know.
fair, Harrison Burrows did something Wilson Isidore couldn't do: scored a penalty. So that's something. And just for clarify, I still love Wilson Isidore, but I'll get onto that in a bit. But either way, no. But from Sheffield United's point of view, they benefited from Burnley and Sunderland drawing against each other, as did Leeds as well. That's all you really can do. So it was really good work for them. From Norwich's point of view, I'll quickly ask Ant the question, then I'll get onto my point about Norwich. Why are Leicester are Leicester screwed financially? Or why are they trying to sell Tom Cannon? And I mean this not as a dig or anything. If Leicester have a genuine chance of being in the Championship next season, wouldn't it make more sense just to loan him out for the second half of the season again, or to have kept him at Stoke? And then if you go down, you've got someone who's tailor-made for the Championship right there for you,
I
without
think.
having.
I think
Or
what
do they need the money for FFP reasons?
there was a deadline that there was rumours that Leicester still being investigated by the Premier League, which is true. But there was a deadline for all 20 clubs to hand in their financial stuff before the last weekend.
Oh, right, okay. No, I wondered because I didn't know if it was something I was missing, but it sounds like it probably was. But no, the point is from Norwich's point of view. Well, quickly, right? Leicester apparently are closing in on Ben Burton Diaz and Tom Cannon. Which, look, as you and Ant know, I've been wanting Sunderland to sign Tom Cannon for about 3 bloody transfer windows at this point, and it looks like it isn't happening. But once Sheffield United start putting a bit of once Sheffield United start putting a bit of, what is it, 10 million quid in? So even with selling Jack Clark, Sunderland just can't compete with that as a non-parachute payment club. Now, and I'll quickly say this on Cannon as well, because this is a narrative that's been cropping up on social media that I'm starting to get a bit sick of. When people were going, well, Tom Cannon, is he really that good? He scored 4 goals against Portsmouth and then another 4 goals were penalties. Scoring penalties isn't a bad thing. Scoring 4 goals in a game isn't a bad thing.
No.
Like, and look, I'll be gutted if Sheffield United sign. I think they'll sign Burton Diaz because apparently he only wants to join Sheffield United if he leaves Southampton, which it looks like that's going to be the case. Cannon's the one that I thought Sunderland genuinely had a shot of getting. But yeah, if Cannon goes there, there's no doubt in my mind he is probably better than Kiefer Moore now. He is at least as good as what Campbell has been for them, and I think he would really go there and improve them as their main starting striker. Well, Anne says, well, so we've been cleared of all FFP and PSR, so it's not one of them. Jake Evans in the academy is higher rated at the club than Cannon, which is why apparently. No, well, I have no idea then. Maybe, hopefully, we were linked with him with a loan with an obligation to buy, so I'm hoping that comes through for us, but I suspect it probably won't. Either way, no, but from Sheffield United's point of view, look, Chris Wilder can't complain about squad depth. They're backing him, so, and there's going to be a lot of pressure on them to finish in the top 2, put it this way, if they get these players, but because obviously Ben Burton, Diaz and Cannon at this level are 2 very astute signings. From Norwich's point of view, I get it, and I said this to Chris Reeve from the excellent Talk Norwich City podcast, which I'd really recommend you go and listen to, because I listen to them. It's my favourite, probably non-Sunderland, strictly podcast-related content. But for me, I get the impression with Norwich, they are the very start of the journey that Sunderland have been on, which is that you start by signing players who maybe are like quality unknown younger players or players from abroad in a cheaper market. Really start to develop them, and then you start to then see the fruits of that. And I get the impression with Norwich that when they're going down this specific route, it's their first season of this longer process. So, in other words, last season, a lot of their strategy would have been, well, they're in a playoff push with David Wagner. They've got the experience. They need to get in the playoffs, and they didn't give it much thought beyond that, the hierarchy. And obviously, Ben Napper took charge in the middle of last season. So, this is where the test is going to be for the likes of Ben Napper to start helping build a squad for Johannes Torup in their sort of image. And to be fair, look, going away and losing to Sheffield United, who are in the top two at the minute, annoyingly, but top two at the minute is not it's not necessarily a disgraceful result in the world.
No.
Although I suspect they will probably lose their next game. We won 3 guesses who that's against. Leeds United at Ellen Road, safe to say. But if you look at it from Norwich's point of view, again, what is it in the playoff picture? Like the relegation battle is very tight, where Norwich are 5 points off the playoffs, which again, like the yeah, that's exactly what Anne's just said. It feels like they've completely gone in a project kind of thing. That's exactly how
I think it's been coming for quite a while, because I think when Farker was there before, and I think they put more when they sold the players, they put more money into the academy, and they had to get fundraising for the academy to
balance the books, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's they've been on that journey. There was on that journey a bit, but it's now becoming gradually more. We see it more coming in now. How they're trying to do what Sunderland is trying to do, what you guys are doing. So they're doing it in that fashion. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So, like, because we started our process in something like 21-22, that season, which was our last year in League One. Now, if you notice, that's 21-22, 22-23, 23-24, 24-25. We're now basically in year 5 of that year 4 of that sort of project overall. Whereas Norwich, this is their first full season committing to it. They've obviously been pretty good at getting fees for players and selling players.
Yeah.
But what I mean is going down that sort of route specifically to get players on a cheaper deal, to really develop them, turn them into assets, and then the more that you sell, the more you're able to reinvest, and the more you're able to reinvest from player sales, the better chance you've got of getting someone who's further along in their journey than you would be if you were signing someone for cheaper, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think they started off with James Madison, who sold for quite a good decent amount of money.
Yeah.
And I think they struggled with that with Max Aarons and Todd Catwell, because they were 2 other big assets as well.
Yeah.
And I think that went that, and then, and I think there was issues with that, so they lost a lot of the revenue of making a pure profit on those two.
Absolutely.
On those 2 players, I think they did make a bit of a profit with Max Aarons, but it wasn't enough really, because he went to Bournemouth. Now he's gone to Valencia on loan. So
Well, the other sales they've made, the likes of Jamal Lewis as well, and they've sold last summer they sold Gabriel Sarra, and I believe Johnny Rowe is on loan at Marseille, but there's an obligation to buy. So they're going. They're going to. Yeah, well, there you go. They're going to get a good bit of money for him. So the more money you're able to make from your assets, the more that you're going to be able to then reinvest and go along to the next part of the journey. But there you go. Madison was 25 million, but also had a percentage. Yeah, exactly. So that's the whole point of that's the reality, unfortunately, of a club if you don't have if you're not in the Premier League, or you're not a Championship club with parachute payments, which is this sort of stuff matters. I mean, I think Norwich, if it's 3 seasons of parachute payments, I think this is their last
3 seasons if you've been in the Premier League for more than, if you stay up the first season, it's 2.
Oh, okay, so is it 2 if you go up and then come straight back down?
Yeah.
Right, so Norwich don't have parachute payments anymore then, because this is their 3rd season in the Championship. So this is where I think they've recognised now. Emi Buendia, yep, there's another one when they sold him to Aston Villa. Although the difference is they win the Prem when they sold him. That was quite poor, really, I think. But I get the impression that's what Norwich, I think, are committing to sort of a longer-term style project, and are going to have to, even if this season, I don't think the expectation is to get in the playoffs.
No.
But I believe that they are capable of playing in the playoffs if everybody was fully fit. Josh Sargent being back on the bench was a really good thing, because we know how much that Norwich's attack hasn't been quite as good since he's been out. And even then, actually, I'll say that. I can't say Norwich's attack hasn't been good. They're like the 2nd highest goal scorers in the league. But the point is, Josh Sargent makes them click much better. And I think that, he's one of the best strikers of this division without a shadow of a doubt. So that was always really good. Obviously, Bora signs with getting that 6-match suspension because of the spitting incident at Sunderland with Chris Metham is... Yeah, I've got quite... I mean, the FA, I think... Don't get us wrong, I mean, the offence is worthy of a ban, obviously.
And
but
he
I think,
admitted to it.
he did admit to it, but I think my issue with it more comes from Why is the FA waited till now to give him the ban for a match that happened nearly a month ago? You know,
Do you know
it
what?
just
I don't know
it did the
why.
same with Kenny McLean as well, which I don't understand.
Yeah, it was a bit weird because I think their process of when it's I would say thorough, but it takes a lot longer than it usually does. It should be really better within the time frame, but
Mm.
I don't know.
There you go, Ant. I bet you love that. Scored twice against Cov in the last 3 minutes. Well, there you go,
Yes,
Ant.
yes, he's a Premier League player. I would agree. I
Go on,
think
Ant. You sign Boris Signs then.
yeah, because you need to replace Vardy at some point. So
I was going to say Signs is a midfielder, but there you go. Maybe stick Signs up front. Who knows? But no. So back to the game though. Like from Sheffield United's point of view, no, professional winners, professional as they come. And from Norwich, I get the impression that they're not expecting playoffs this season, but I think next season they'll be hoping for a bit more. But no, I think for Norwich it's about balancing. It's about that fine balance of short-term results plus long-term
yeah,
aims and strategies.
yeah, absolutely as well. Let's go to the Welsh derby, and what a game it was!
Can I just say I was just watching a bit of Nathan's video because I thought he must have there's no way he's not done a video for a game like this, and it has done. And I will say I don't know if you've seen any of it, but the limbs when Cardiff score
No, I
is
don't need to.
no, you need to honestly watch it. Like the limbs is absolutely ridiculous, as it should be for a good derby game of that magnitude. But because we know how fierce Cardiff and Swansea hate each other, so
Yeah,
no, but, from commiserations to Curtis, who I'm pretty sure isn't watching this, but Curtis obviously will be like, he
yeah.
wasn't very happy with Luke. He wasn't very happy with Luke Williams, was he? Let's put it
No, he
that way.
wasn't. And like I said, Cardiff winning 3-0 against Swansea yesterday. Callum Robinson scored two goals, and
His first one particularly well taken as well.
it was well taken. And then the final goal coming from Dimit Josh Gotas, with the header across in, and then somehow Cardiff had a manager sent off again in this fixture because it happened in the reverse fixture
Yeah,
against
Bullock got sent
Swansea.
off at Swansea, didn't he?
Yeah, Imran Burrow, and now and it's now and now it's on my Riza. But how the hell did that happen?
So is that why Cardiff have been barely beating Swansea recently? Because their managers aren't getting sent off because they want to have the passion. If every time their manager gets sent off, they get a good result against Swansea.
Yeah, possibly.
So maybe Nathan, there you go. There's a bit of advice. Do you get your manager sent off in the dugout every single game, every time he's available there? Then maybe you might start, and then you can beat Swansea for all eternity. No,
Well,
to be fair,
Franco did actually run into him. He was stupid. He knew what he was doing to
oh
get
god. Well, yeah,
3.
by that point the game's gone, isn't it?
The
You're
game
three
was
0
gone,
down.
but he
Yeah.
knew what he was doing.
Oh, absolutely. But catastrophic from Swansea. I was very shocked to see that the result was actually that comprehensive. But no, from Swansea that was horrendous. But from Cardiff point of view, it'll be for a season with Cardiff fans that they haven't exactly had a lot to shout about, have they? So I can imagine
No,
that.
especially with the protest yesterday before the game as well.
Yeah,
Actually,
well, we all know that
roughly about 1,000 fans were protesting before.
we know about who the muppet at the top of the club is. It's probably him and maybe like Defon Chansiri at Chef Wed. I think are probably the
Oh
two
god,
biggest.
I didn't realize the thing what he said earlier the week, Transy earlier. And I was like, yeah, okay.
Well, we'll get onto that when we talk about your game. But no, from the protests and everything to everything that's been going on this season with Cardiff. No, I mean that's going to be, even if they do go down, that's at least one day that they'll look back on quite fondly. But it doesn't mask the bigger issues. But why should Cardiff fans care about that tonight?
Absolutely, yeah. No, I agree as well.
And obviously resetting for Swansea. Let's just say we're both going to hope that Swansea win on Tuesday, even though I probably don't see them getting anything, which is against Sheffield United at the Liberty Stadium or
No.
Swansea.com Stadium, whatever the hell.
Swansea.com stadium now, yeah.
Right, just screw it. To me, it's the Liberty Stadium. I don't really care.
I know it will start
You
with,
know,
yeah.
sounds much better. Here's one from you probably put Ant's comment. Who's the bigger club, Cardiff or Swansea?
Good question, actually. I think they're both on level par. Historically, they've been on
If
level par.
one's going to be bigger than the other, it's going to be like a toenails difference, isn't it?
Yeah.
If I had to edge towards one, I'd maybe just edge Cardiff, maybe just slightly Cardiff, but it's not Leeds versus Rotherham who's bigger.
No,
You know what I mean?
no, of
Like
course
in a
not. I know.
scenario like that, you can tell who's clearly the bigger of the two. Whereas
It's a hard one because
it depends what you
Leicester,
value, though. Do you value it as location of the club? Do you value it as how many seasons recently they've been in the Premier League? How recently they've been in the Premier League?
I would say,
Oh God!
I probably say no. That's a good question. I know what I should say. I don't know. I probably still look value what Swansea's done because Swansea have been in the Premier League a little bit longer than Cardiff did historically because they did get to the League Cup final. They did get to Europe. They did get to Europa League within the last
I
32.
will point out in Cardiff's defence, they got to the League Cup final the year before Swansea won it.
Yeah, and they did get to the FA Cup final in 2008 against Portsmouth.
Yeah, so I mean, but
Fair.
I do think that the thing that's holding Cardiff back really is the ownership. That's the
Yeah.
big thing. I think if it weren't for Vincent Tan, I think they would be much further along in
And
where they are at
the
the
reason
moment.
why I like Swansea because I think they did develop some very good, decent managers like Brendan Rodgers.
Oh yeah, I haven't got. I like both clubs. I don't really have a favourite over out of the
I
other.
hate
But
Cardiff more. You should know that. As
yeah,
well.
well, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair
So,
point. Well, okay then. Just just watch Wrexham instead. But yeah,
okay.
actually, that'd be quite funny. Wrexham get promoted and Cardiff stay up. Then you've got like North Wales versus South Wales next season.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. And I think even the Welsh clubs are now going to might be qualified for the Welsh League Cup to get into Europe. So
I know that'd be quite funny. Right, Anne says Swansea have won the League Cup recently. Cardiff have won a lot more historically. Personally, for me, if I'm looking at overall history and everything else considered, I would probably just edge Cardiff. But I could, if someone wanted to argue Swansea, I wouldn't be.
I think because
I don't
Swansea
think it'd be egregious.
were very consistent in the Premier League because of the one famous relegation offense,
Yeah,
and they did get some good decent
and they
players.
did win the League Cup just over a decade ago, didn't they? So it's
Yeah,
that's a
exactly.
good question. There,
Yeah.
that should be like a poll Twitter question there. But I love how you said I'd say Swansea just to annoy Nath. Oh god, Curtis will love you, Ant. That's all I'll say there. But yeah, no, but fair play for Reetsef to get guiding Cardiff to that. So yeah, sorry, Ant. Serious fun now. Ant says, to be fair, I did
I
think
know.
about Brendan Rodgers at Swansea. Cardiff are massively clear. Oh god. That's just great. Ant being Ant is doing his Ant things as usual. See, Ant mustn't have a social life tonight because he's sitting here watching us.
I know. He's been watching us for the majority of the show, which is
Don't
quite.
get me wrong, it's lovely that he's watching one. It's quite funny, but like, yeah, it's just surprising. But yeah, but no, yeah, Cardiff fans, like that's what Derby days are all about, isn't it? When you beat your fiercest rivals, like you remember that. You're going to remember that for a long time. And even like Callum Robinson, I think the EFL commentator said it, or sorry, the Sky Sports commentator said it. Whatever happens to him here, Callum Robinson's going to be a hero in Cardiff folklore now, unless he leaves like in a really shit circumstance. But yeah, you can't score. When you score 2 goals against the bitter rivals, you're going to be a legend, aren't you?
Yeah, very much so, very much so. Right, coming down to the penultimate game, and we'll go to your boys on Friday getting a 0-0 draw against Sunderland. We have to talk about the master dark of arts, James Trafford. How much was that influence after Wilson Easton with the first penalty, which you admit it wasn't a penalty?
Oh no, it was no. I have no problem admitting that. Wait, I know we talk about the referees, how shocking they are. That's an
Yeah,
example
we
of what
know
I'm
about
on
the
about.
decline in the standard.
And I can say this even when Sunderland benefit from the decision. In hindsight, it might have been better for it to be a free kick and Egan Riley get. Correct if I'm wrong. If that had been a free kick, should Egan Riley then would have been sent off?
Yes,
Because to
that's the
me,
rules. If it's
yeah, okay,
if
right.
it's outside the box and it's
If it's a clear goal scoring opportunity and last man outside the box, then yeah, it's a.
and then when it's inside the box, it's a yellow card.
Yeah, well, maybe Burnley might be thankful of that in the end, really, because it means Egan Riley didn't get sent off. But because obviously, if we'd scored it, it would have been a different matter. Right, I'll get this out of the way. I think we arguably got lucky in the second half that Burnley didn't get a spot kick for the challenge from 09 on Zian Fleming.
Yeah,
I don't think that's very clear cut, but you could make an argument for that being a penalty. What is a clear argument is that how this first penalty is awarded in the first place, I have zero idea, and I'm not even necessarily sure. Again, like we say about the officials, even if the ref does not see it, the linesman should be able to spot that.
spot that.
I have
easily,
no
yeah.
clue how the linesman has not waved his flag and gone, no, that's a free kick. It's not a pen. Like, yeah, it goes into the box, but I'm pretty sure the rule is if the initial start of contact is outside the box, then it's not a penalty. And even watching it on the replays before the penalty was taken and was struck, I was like, nah, that's not a penalty. We've got away with one there. Now, having said that, so I think from Burnley they would probably rightly argue that justice was done for the first one in that it didn't go in. As to answer your question about James Trafford, and I think that probably did influence things to a degree in that he probably got in Isidore's head. And fair play to him.
He's done this before because he did it in the under-21s championship 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, he's done his homework, hasn't he? He's researched which way Isidore scores his penalties, and fair play to him. I mean, I don't particularly like stuff like that, but it's not on him for doing it. It's on the referee for not calling it out sooner. Because I know he booked him. He booked him before the second one, but you should have booked him before the first one. Then he doesn't do it the second time, even though at that point we didn't know we were going to get. Even though we didn't know at the time we were going to get a second penalty. But no, I would say the first. I want to know what you think here. I think the first penalty was weak from Isidore. I think it was a straightforward.
Weak compared to the second penalty.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I don't think the second penalty is a bad penalty. I think I've seen a lot worse penalties than that. I just think it's an even better save. And I think, make no mistake about it, Trafford has got Burnley a point there, and that point will feel massive for Burnley. You see the way that they celebrated, and rightly so at the end, because obviously they saved 2 penalties. You'd expect to get beat at that point. Across the whole game, I did think initially that a draw was fair, but you saw I put in the group chat earlier, there was a bunch of second half stats. Actually, I'll quickly get the photo up, and it's from a huge Sunderland YouTuber called Alt Ending, but he does his research, and when a team's been better than us, he says that they're better than us.
Yeah, I did see that, and I was amazed.
I didn't realize how much we dictated most of the second half, but basically second half stats, Burnley had 1 corner, 4 shots, 3 shots in the box, then they had 0 big chances, 0 hitting the woodwork, 0 through balls. Yeah. They had a half chance at the start of the second half where I think Zian Fleming had a shot inside the penalty area that went way wide. But apart from that, I can't think of a chance Burnley created second half.
No. When I watched the second half, because I was watching the Hearts Scottish Cup game, I did feel like you had more better in the second half. You were more threatening than Burnley was.
Yeah, and I think if you look at Sunderland stats, it was like we had like corners. I'm not going to read too much into because we don't do much from them anyway. Although hopefully with the signing of Enzo Lefebvre, that might be a bit different. And I will say I'll say very quickly actually, Lefebvre looked quite encouraging. He didn't impact the game, I think, as much as he would have liked to, but I'm putting that down to how good Burnley are at the back. And I think we've got Derby and Plymouth coming up. With all due respect to both of those teams, I'd like to think Lefebvre will have a lot more joy against them than what he would have against Burnley, because Burnley are really rock solid at the back. Yeah. But that pass he made at the start of the second half to Wilson Isidore is an example of why we've paid the money we have for him for 6 months. That is the type of quality that it shows to me we mean business and we want to stay in this top 2 race. But anyway, point is, so we had 4 corners. We had 12 shots in the second half, which I didn't believe. It's one of those when you see that stat, you think, can't remember having 12 shots. But either way, 12 shots, 9 of them were in the box, 5 big chances, hit the woodwork, and obviously you had the chance, 3 through balls. Okay, fair enough. One of them being Lefebvre, I'd imagine. The chance we had with Mienda in between the 2 penalties when Egan flings himself to stop what is a goal from basically 3 yards out. Originally, I said a draw was a fair result, but I think those stats have changed my mind. I think after Burnley started the first 20, 25 minutes. They were miles the better team. We couldn't get into any rhythm or any sort of swing of things at all. Once that happened, though, Sunderland started to gradually grow into it and create the better opportunities ourselves and our pressing was really good. For the last hour of the game, our pressing was phenomenal. We managed to get the ball, recycle it, and quickly turn it back over to force them onto the back foot. So no, I'm actually, whether we finish, look, don't get me wrong, this is not me saying we'll finish there, but I've seen nothing. I've watched Burnley a few times now. I've watched Sheffield United a few times now. I've watched Leeds a few times now. I don't think we catch Leeds. I've said all along, and again, I'm not just saying it. You're here. You obviously heard me say this. If you put a quid in every time I've said this to you this season, you probably have a full money tin. But
you will go into my bloody account to make sure.
Absolutely, you pay for a season ticket. There you go.
Listen, Leeds tickets so expensive. There's a huge waiting list. I'm not even going to go down there with that.
No, fair enough then. But I would say that I've seen. Look, don't get me wrong. The signing of Bertrand Diaz and Cannon does strengthen Sheffield United. But from what I've seen of Burnley and Sheffield United, I've seen nothing to suggest to me that we can't finish above the 2 of them. I've seen nothing to suggest to me that they're both infinitely better than what we are. I think if you look across, because we've now played both of them twice, and if you look at it, the first game against Burnley at the Stadium of Light, we dominated most of that and should have won by a bigger margin.
Yeah.
The game at Sheffield United, how on earth we came out of that with nothing, I have absolutely no idea. The game on New Year's Day, which obviously you were at, Sheffield United had more of the ball, but I think Sunderland, by a country distance, had the superior chances. This one, Friday night, we dominated Burnley's second half and should have came away with a win. Let's be honest, because you missed 2 penalties in the last 15 minutes. But I've started to completely notice that every time I say I'll take a point away from home with Sunderland, I always have to be pissed off at the end. So maybe I'll just never say that again this season. Who knows? Because if I'll say I'll take a point away at Leeds, but we'll be 2-0 up and you'll come back to draw 2-2 or something. That's exactly how it'll work. But look, saying we can finish in the top 2 is not the same as finishing in the top 2. And I would say, though, if we did finish in the playoffs, if, say, Sheffield United got second, I wouldn't bet against winning the playoffs. Providing, obviously, well, look, Chris Meffin went off, which is a bit of a blow. We need to see how long he's out for. But I was very impressed with how much Sunderland were the better side, like quite some way the better side second half. Now, I think you could tell by I think Burnley fans were quite relieved at the end that they not just because of the penalties, but that they got a point. I even had a commenter saying on my YouTube video, a couple of them saying, best visiting team by some way to Turf Moor this season. And obviously, look, you're the next team to go there, I think, aren't you?
Yeah, we are
A week tomorrow on the Monday night, which I've got off work actually, so I'll probably be watching it.
Yeah.
I'll ask you what Anne says. Enzo theme looks unreal. That pass, oh my god, it made me feel a certain way. I'll not get into Anne's sexuality here.
No.
But this comment you're about to highlight is an interesting one, and it's a comment worth discussing. Are the wheels coming off at Burnley? Dyche would be disgusted at Levy to walk nonsense card against their Parker is wearing.
Listen, Sean Dyche is probably not going to get a Premier League job again. Not going to lie. And I think his time with Everton was coming up because there was only signs that he was not going to be bad. And the way I did say this the other week, and the way things happened, and hours before that, the Peterborough FA Cup game was a bit, and not even getting the fact, and the pod didn't even say facts in the statement. But I think his type of football is kind of now. It's probably not going to be in the Premier
Getting
League.
phased out, do you think?
It's going to be phased out, massive. It's phased out. Only phased out because you see managers like Kieran McKenna, who's played similar to what Pep or whatever and stuff like that. I just can't see another English manager bring that phase back. I don't think he will be back. Yeah. So I think Sean Dyche, well,
he might be. Well, if Burnley don't get promoted, he might be at Burnley next season. You never know.
Yeah, but I remember, Burnley did. I think there was a bit of issues with the owner and Sean Dyche at Burnley when they joined. He got sacked, and it was more about staying up in that season. I don't know if because I think a lot of Burnley fans, even though they loved him, but it was his style of football was a bit of not spending enough money.
They sort of got to a point where they wanted to move on and see someone else come in.
Yeah. And now
that wasn't long before Vincent Kompany took charge, was it?
Exactly. And then Burnley did spend a bit more money, yes.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, to point out Anne's question, I was going to say something that I found quite interesting when it came to Burnley. If I'm right, I think they've scored 31 goals in the Championship so far this season. Now, this
8 and 9.
I was going to say, this is what I was going to say, that conceded 9, which is incredible. But this is the stat that sort of skews their goal scoring. 9 of them came in the first 2 games.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I'm aware that they sold quite a lot of players after that, between when they beat Luton and Cardiff and then when they lost at Sunderland next, I think it was. So I think it's important to remember that if you take out those 9 goals, they've scored 22 goals in 25 games, which is, now if you spin it that way, it's not exactly. I mean, look, their defense is exactly where they are, and they've done brilliantly. And defensively, they're an example of how clean sheets can get you points. But, and this is coming from someone who's primarily focusing on clean sheets and wanting to be good defensively, I get the impression Burnley don't score enough if they're wanting to be. I was originally quite convinced that Burnley would get second. Now after watching that, I'm a lot less sure.
I'm convinced with that. Now I was for the last few weeks.
By the way, to caveat this, the window is still open, and Burnley could sign a couple of really good attackers and balance things out better, and could go on to get automatic promotion. But as of right now, with the squad they've got and with what Parker is doing, they'll definitely be in the playoffs. They'll have more than enough points to be in the top 6. But I'm starting to wonder: are they not scoring enough goals, and are they too reliant on keeping clean sheets, if that makes sense, and too reliant on not, because you've got your likes of your Esteve and Egan Riley, probably arguably the best centre-back partnership in the division, at least if not one of them. Then I get the impression they're not going to score enough. I mean, look, you guys, I think you've scored something like, I think it's over 20 goals more than they have.
Yeah.
Because you had 48 goals, but obviously you scored 3 today. So if I'm right, you've scored 51, and Burnley have scored 31. You've scored nearly not far off double the amount Burnley have got. And Sheffield United and Sunderland have both got something like 8 or 9 goals extra than what Burnley have got.
Yeah.
So I'm a lot less sure on Burnley now than what I was. And if anything, it's made me convinced that's... I'm going to say this now. Famous last words, but I'm quietly confident we'll finish above Burnley now. Having watched them, I think if as you probably watched the game, Sunderland went to them, and the last hour we were easily the better team. And
Yeah.
and that's where I'm thinking, with a couple of extra really good additions from our perspective, I've seen nothing to suggest that we can't get second place. The big thing is whether we can overtake Sheffield United. Like, I am aware that Sheffield United are 4 points ahead of us, but they had a Norwich team that had pretty much half their team missing. We had to go away to the best defensive team in the league, and we're a successful penalty kick away from winning. So, yeah, it's cemented the fact this is definitely a 4-horse race for the top two. That's definitely no doubt in my mind about that. But I think I've changed my. When you lot go to Leeds and sorry, when Leeds go to Leeds, that makes no sense. When you lot go to Burnley and when you lot go to Sheffield United, I was thinking, oh, draw, draw, draw. Now I'm thinking, yeah, I think I probably prefer Leeds win both games, to be honest, because in my head it's going to be you guys will go, despite the problem with Melier. And I didn't think Melier was too bad today, actually. But
No,
like
it
for
was
what
all
you had
right
to work,
today.
for what you had to work with. But despite Melier at the moment, I'm convinced you guys will go on and get to get number one spot, because I don't think you are. I don't think Sheffield United, Burnley, or Sunderland, or certainly not Burnley, for example, are a patch on what you've got at the moment going forward. So I'm kind of thinking I'm expecting you to get a bit of a gap at the top, not a massive one, but like say 4, 5, 6 points. So I'm thinking if you could beat the other two, please, that would be really appreciated, and then hopefully we can win our game. But no, if you'd offered me a point at the start of kickoff to round it up and go into your game, if you'd offered me a point at kickoff, I would have taken it. It's just obviously annoying in the way that it had to come at the cost of missing 2 penalties. But look, point away, we've took 4 points off Burnley. I'm not going to complain too much with that. Derby and Plymouth this week, for me, if we want to be in the top two, need to be 6 points, though.
Yeah, no, absolutely as well. Right, let's finish off the game. And as we were going on to Leeds, a good win for Leeds to win against 3-0
South
against.
Yorkshire Derby, I believe.
Yeah, it was a Yorkshire derby against Sheffield Wednesday. Let's talk about the comments that the Sheffield Wednesday owner, Dilton Chansey,
Oh,
came early in the
this
fast
guy
game.
finds new ways to be a muppet, doesn't he?
He does, and he does. He just. I don't know. He's just. I don't
Doesn't
know.
think about what he says, or he doesn't, or maybe he doesn't have a good PR team around him, or a PR team around him. I don't know.
Or even yeah, or even a
A common
person.
sense team around him.
Yeah.
Things to not say to piss off your fan base.
Oh,
Right.
not to say I'm not spoken to my manager this month. Oh,
Or
oh,
apparently that Shay Charles has been recalled when in fact that's bullshit and he played today.
yeah.
Which is right. Go on then. Let's get into these comments.
So he said it's about the lack of communication about trying to admit it. It's just that its role's responsibility to contact him, suggesting there was more he wanted to say in the matter, but was unable to do so. Uh, he said Role's been buried to challenge the supporters come to the fans forum. And he said, general manager Alex Wilson just says about season ticket prices, revealed the club is installed safe standing areas, and night ends with a bombshell with his key player, Shea Charles, is being recalled by a loan by Southampton, who has been linked to going to Sheffield to your rivals in the city, to Sheffield United. This has been bizarre these last few days.
Is this bizarre normally or bizarre even for Defon Chansiri standards?
More the latter.
Because I was going to say, if it is the latter, then that is particularly shockingly bizarre. How many times can I say that the sooner this idiot gets out of Sheffield Wednesday, the better? Like, Sheffield Wednesday fans must be so frustrated and kicking themselves right now because they know they could challenge for promotion to the Prem. The size of the club they are for the Championship, I mean, they could easily be going at the top and challenging for the playoffs at the very least. And they've got a manager who's good enough to do that with a bit of backing. But instead, what's stopping them is this absolute muppet of an owner that likes to make the attention about himself. And every time the issue of selling the club comes up, he basically says something along the lines of, well, come on then, come and buy the club off me then. Like, Defon, that's not their responsibility, mate. That's on you as a custodian of Sheffield Wednesday to go and find someone who's going to be capable of taking them to the next level. Because newsflash, son, it ain't you. And again, Ant's made another point that I think is actually bang on the money. He feels like he just wants to upset as many Chef Wed fans as possible. It's actually getting to the point where this feels like he's doing this intentionally as a parody. It feels like
Yeah.
he's just going like, are you just doing this for comedy at this point? Like, the amount of garbage that comes out of this man's mouth is frustrating me. And I'm not even a Sheffield Wednesday fan.
I know. It's bizarre, and there's also that he's refusing to lower Danny Rowe's compensation fee if he gets approached by another club because he wants more of the money to get it. And I'm like, you really are. It's like comedy. It's like you think you're a stand-up guy. You're not bloody good at telling jokes, aren't you?
Well, I was going to say if he is trying to tell jokes, he's not particularly like you say. He's not successful.
Actually, before we do get to that, I'm just going to say hello to Chris. Keep our seat warm for next. Chris, I will do because I already said this to Ant already. You know, your seat. You lot's gonna have to take over the. One of you's got to take over the championship with you along with Michael. If Sunderland gets back up, Michael will still be on the show regardless. I'm having my social life back. So
Oh God, I love that, Chris. Well, there you go, Chris. Now you can just make it we can just say how Ant's going to piss Leicester's going to piss the lead next season, and how he's going to be on the wind up with Coventry fans again. Yeah, Ant says, "Def on Chelsea, you must be a blade or just on the wind up." Yeah, it's one of those where because I'm finding it a bit more laughable and funny because I'm not a Chef Wed fan. But if I was a Chef Wed fan, I'd probably be banging my head against the wall so often to the point where I've literally got no brain cells left. Like that's how,
be running to the door, you just knock yourself out. Yeah.
yeah, you're almost just kind of going, is this honestly like, is this dude for real? And half of the stuff he comes out with, like, you know, it's just I think Sheffield Wednesday are basically just plodding along while he's the owner. And the one good thing he's done is first of all, appoint Danny Roll, and secondly, get him tied down to a longer contract last summer. That is two good things he's done in God knows how many years. Because let's get this right. If it wasn't for Danny Roll, Sheff Wedwoods would be in League One again. Like it's just they're in the Championship despite Jeff Onchancery, not because of him. We'll piss the league again next year anyway. Can't wait. You know what'll happen, right? You'll sell Tom Cannon to Sheffield United, then you'll loan him back next season.
Yep.
That would just be bang on, wouldn't it? But no, but to be fair, from the game today, I think it was. I don't know what you think. I'll quickly say my thoughts. Obviously, it's just your game, but like, I didn't think it was a 3-0 game. I thought 3-0 was quite a flattering
It wasn't
scoreline.
no.
Yeah,
It was
but
kind of becoming a draw in my eyes when Sheffield.
I would say that did Chef Wed deserve something? I would say you still did deserve to win it, but I would say that it was like a 1-0 or 2-1 sort of game. But
Yeah.
but it was a game of moments for me. When Chef Wed had a couple of good chances in the second half, but the key difference was you took your moments when you had them and they didn't.
Yeah, we did. I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. I think when we scored the first goal in the third minute through Manor Solomon, I think the one thing was Sheffield Wednesday did stop our front for a bit, as well, quite officially over the final third. And they had chances where I think Windass had a chance to try to score, but I think he took too long to Ampadu, won the ball off him. And yeah, there was chances from certain set pieces as well they could have scored because I know everyone's been worried about Melier, especially with how he's performing. I know he's got the worst XG goals conceded. I think it's six goals gone in. I think it's minus 2 point something compared to like the other top four goalkeepers there in the plus side. So it was, I think because it's like I said the other week, I said either you back him or the two things. Get a goalkeeper, but I will say to you, be careful what you wish for because remember the last time we went to get a goalkeeper and that same scenario. Look where it happened. We lost to Derby because we got the racist bastard Kiko Garcia who couldn't even hold the ball. He made so much errors when we saw Bailey Peacock Farnell, who went to Burnley because he was throwing his toys at the when Bielsa was not picking him, and then we got Melier for £5 million. Do you know what? I know he's not had. I know he was in the team of the year Melier last season, and you still you criticizing him. Yes, you've been criticized for years, and Big Sam thinks it was best for me to keep him out of the team by blah 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 when we got relegated. But to be quite honest, yeah, look, if we get how are we going to get another goalkeeper in January this month? It's gonna it's only I think there were teams have been top of the table and have changed goalkeeper. I think there's only been one team being promoted out of the 9 teams who changed the goalkeeper halfway through the season and got promoted, and it ain't us. And that is the problem. And I think we're linked with one of the Argentina goalkeepers of Desmond from River Plate. And I'm like, he's not going to come with one issue we're going to have, just like what Kiko Kasi was, is the language barrier. That's going to be the stumbling block. And he's not, so I was just like, and I think the fans, need to as a Leeds fan myself. I'm Leeds more one of the calmer ones that sees it on the bigger picture than the short picture than some of our fans. I have to. I'm not. I will still back some of these fans, but I'm not going to back all of them. But the way they go become amazing should be who are you going to replace? Give me a name. Oh, we get Kelly. No, Kelly ain't going to come from Liverpool, especially if it cost £40 million to get him because the Liverpool are getting a new goalkeeper next summer. From Valencia that they signed last summer. So I think some of these fans need to realize that Carl Dowell's not in a lot of games. So technically, he's going to be very rusty behind the sticks.
Did Carl Darlow play against Harrogate?
Yes, he did.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, it's not the best example of comparing to because it's against League Two opposition, isn't it? Do you think a lot of the clamour around... Look, just don't get him away from the fact that Melia has made some pretty big cock-ups this season, but I would say that from the outside looking into me, it seems like for every clanger, for every one bad thing he does, there's two good saves he makes, if you get what I mean. So I think this is kind of where... Because the problem is, if you make a mistake as a keeper, as we said before, it gets highlighted and picked apart so often. Like that mistake at Sunderland, for example, will get played probably God knows however many times now.
And then
In
against
exactly. But I would get the impression that with Melier, I've seen him make some cracking saves this season for Leeds. But I think the biggest thing that I would compliment with Leeds is that, yeah, okay, maybe you can say, does the teammates have trust in Melier? But I think one thing you've generally been quite good at is making sure you're stopping it get to the point where Melier has to do much. And that's where I think when you're doing it like that, it's the best shot that you've got, really, because obviously you don't want to, because you're a team, you've got a team that should dominate a lot of pretty much everybody in the division and have got a team that would dominate a lot of games in the league. But I was going to ask, do you think that the clamour around Melier is a desperate desire from Leeds fans to get promoted next season? Because you said, this season, I mean, because you said to me, I think next season it could be a very different picture if you fail to go up this year.
It would be, yeah. I think it would be. I think he will get sold, and I don't know who to, but it certainly ain't going to be a top Premier League club. So that ain't going to happen, which means that Leeds are going to have to find somewhere a good quality replacement. But you think we're going to get Kelly here for 40, Liverpool want at least £40 million for him because Liverpool are not going to sell on the cheap. Kelly is probably the best number 2 goalkeeper in the Premier League. Best, bar none. The way he's been how he's had to deputise when Alisson's been injured. So I think we need to be very realistic. Who's the right goalkeeper that could fit into the I think for Leeds fans, it's just have a decent game. But all goalkeepers go through a lot of clangers anyway. So, and I don't get why this has been a theme with the Leeds fans since probably the second season. Since the second season we were in the Premier League, it's been a real recurring thing with Melier and the fans. And I think it's got too far.
Go on, you finish.
It's got too far, to be honest with you.
I think obviously the issue, and Sunderland have got this to an extent as well. I would say both of our fan bases are extremely passionate, and I think that's one where it comes with being the size of the club that you are, but it also comes from sort of area and sort of the area you probably come from, or the history of the clubs or whatever it was, and it's all about a desire to want. Obviously, I get it to an extent. It is wanting to see your team do well, but there comes a point when you stop wanting your team to do well, and you're starting to harm people by starting to really go after them with vitriol, and I think that's where people need to draw the line. I would give you a good shout as to who you could go for if you did get promoted. And it works if they don't, and it works if Burnley don't get promoted. James Trafford,
I know.
I don't think that would be a bad shout. If you went up and Burnley didn't, I could see that happening.
There's another problem. It's your rivals up the road who have been linked to try to get to replace Nick Pope.
Well, yeah, that is true. I mean, if see the thing is, right?
Yeah, I think Newcastle will still get him.
No, I can imagine they probably will as well. Oh, great! Someone I don't like going to a team I hate. That's fun.
Yeah, exactly.
But, no, what I was going to say was just because I think the fee was linked to be around 20 million quid or whatever it was. Well, I know that some Burnley fans on YouTube said something like 30 million, which let's be honest, you're not getting that for someone like James Trafford. I don't think. In the summer, and particularly in the summer, you're not going to get that in January, let alone the summer. I don't think.
No.
So say in the summer, if Leeds got promoted and you put a bid of something like 20 million, maybe plus add-ons or something. I know, obviously, if Newcastle are going to come in and promise him like regularly,
they'll give him a big package.
Exactly. And that's no shame in that. Newcastle have got the money that they've got now, and they've been in the Premier League for God knows how many years at this point. So, Yeah, I don't think there's anything particularly shameful in that, but it's someone that I would recommend going for. I mean, if you were going to replace Melier, the chance you probably had in the summer was to sign Michael Cooper from Plymouth. That probably would have been the sort of shout that, because what was it, 2 million quid Sheffield United got him for. So I
Yeah.
think, that was probably your missed chance to get someone like that. Or maybe to a lesser degree, Victor Johansson is another one where, you signed him for 900,000 from Rotherham, but obviously how well would it have gone down with Rotherham fans if the keeper went to Leeds? So, or you could go for
It would
Johansson
not be
now, you
bad.
don't know.
It wouldn't be an issue. I don't think there'll be that issue for
Well,
Vic.
yeah, true. Okay, but so no, talking as well. I mean, it seems to me that it looks like Melier will be the main number one keeper for Leeds this season, and I think ultimately, look, if you look at the games like today, but like I've said before, when you're on it, you can dictate teams to the point where they're forced back, and you're not relying as much on your keeper. And again, for me, for every bad mistake Melier makes, which definitely are some of them, there's more good things that he does than bad ones. But I think it's because again, how passionate the fan base is, how imperative promotion is, how much it is for goalkeepers with mistakes. It just gets highlighted more, and the good stuff they do goes by the wayside.
Yeah, no, I agree. I honestly agree with that as well, actually. But on the game itself, I think Ramazani scoring a good goal actually because I thought he thought his chances were gone when he low dribble shot, and then Tanaka with the back heel as well on side in the
Yeah,
90th minute. It was actually a good win to get because, as I said, a lot of people are saying what Leeds is way from. And looking at Leeds way from, they're third in the way from table, where they are about 4 points behind Sheffield United and 7 points behind Burnley. But at home form, we are formidable. We've only lost one game like Sheffield United. We've won one game more, and our goal, we like the second. I think we're the other than Burnley, we're like the third best team, not conceding a lot of goals at home anyway. So it's the result was needed, but I think Sheffield Wednesday had a good chance in the most of the periods of trying to equalise. But I think Leeds with the substitutions, of Ramazani coming on and getting his first goal because he's been trying to get back in that starting 11 because of how well James and Harrison have been doing. So he's been trying to get back into that starting 11. So, but I think he's getting closer to get back in there after when he got injured about a couple months ago. It's a shame with Pascal Struck out for 3 weeks. I think we're going to be active in the transfer market to get a cover, and I
yeah.
think the Emma Buendia thing is not going to go away. I think there's a chance that we'll get it because I feel like Villa is going to let him go on loan. I think he's available for going on loan, and I think with Bamford being out, and we'll let
Daniel
Gil,
Farker as well.
yeah, and let Gilhart go to hold on, which he needs games and he needs to find his spark again. It's just we need to get that areas covered anyway.
Well, and we look at it this way: if you say if you're with Gelhardt going on loan or leaving, letting who else ever leave, it can cover Buendia's wages, couldn't it? That slot in the gap in the wage bill can have Buendia's wages fill. And look, I mean, another good thing for you as well, which I think is something that it hasn't pointed out. If you look at the goal difference, your goal difference is plus 32, nearly
Yeah.
double what Sunderland's is, and it's 10 better than Burnley, and 11 better than Sheffield United. That's an extra point, really, when you look at it. So this is where it comes down. Now, correct if I'm right, at home, how many of the big hitters have you got left to play? You've got us. Apart from us, who have you got left to play at Ellen
So
Road?
I'll just get the
I know you've got us and West Brom at home to play, I think.
yeah. Just get the
And
fixtures up.
yeah, sorry.
So we've got Norwich on Wednesday, but Norwich on Wednesday at home. We've got yourselves on the 17th of February, West Brom. See here, not much actually. No, that's pretty much the big hitters that we have left.
That's what I mean. So I think, look, I've been consistent with the fact that I think 90 points is the target to aim for. And while Sheffield United are second with 55 at the moment, there's still games where you guys play each other, isn't it? Whereas we've only got yourselves left to play, and then I think we've played everybody in the top four itself.
Yeah,
So I think it's about, again, it sounds cliche, but it's about making sure you can maintain consistency at home. And say if you had a top seven, top eight away form, um, you do that, then I think you're probably going to be in amongst it, right up there for the top of the division. But um, that's where it comes down to, because I just think when Leeds, again, how many times we've said this, when Leeds click, there's hardly any team, maybe with the possible exception of Borough, that are like scintillating, like are really capable of being scintillating. Um, But to be fair, like I said, I think Leeds are working better by the looks of it, of making sure that you're also good defensively, making sure that you've got the complete package of making sure that you're good going forward, but also not shit as about the back,
Yeah.
basically. And obviously you let in 3 goals to Hull. Obviously you let a goal and equaliser against Blackburn, but when you look at it, nobody has come close to going above you yet, really. So no one's took the opportunity to go above you. So I think it's one where, as I said to you at the start of the season, if you're 3/4 of the level that you were last season, you'd be shocked not to get top 2, really. But as far as today was concerned, I mean, it was, you've got yourselves 5 points ahead of Sunderland, 3 points ahead of Burnley. So obviously that's a good thing when you're. I think the tests will be, particularly when you go to Burnley and Sheffield United. I think they're the ones. But the good thing is, I think you're in the situation where if you drew both games, it wouldn't be seen as a bad thing, I don't
No.
think. Maybe to a lesser extent with Sunderland because you're at home. But obviously, say if you didn't lose to any of the top 4 when you play them and you beat practically everybody else, you're pretty much going to be there, I would think. It's going to be a fascinating game when we come up against each other. I will say that.
Yeah, no, it will be. It will be absolutely. That will be an interesting game next month as well. So, yeah, I'll be looking forward to that.
Absolutely. Well, nice Monday night football.
I know. Usually, Monday Night Football's for the bloody Premier League, but this is going to be different. So,
I
yeah,
mean, to be fair, like a lot of people would argue this should be a Premier League fixture, really, Leeds Sunderland. But there you go. At the minute, it isn't, but hopefully next season it is.
we hope so as well too. Michael, thank you very much as usual. A pleasure to
No,
have you
thanks very
back on.
much.
I know we were off the air for quite a bit, and you was glad to come back on. I wanted to come back on the other week ago, but I felt like after New Year's, I just wanted to just relax and just say, no, I'm not going to do any content until So
No, sometimes it's good to just have a bit of a sort of a mental break and have a bit less fatigue and stuff.
yeah, well, I think because the long late night drive back up to Edinburgh from Sunderland on New Year's Day, I think that wiped the floor out of me completely. I just said, right, I'm resting. This is my vacation time. So yeah, right.
Well,
Let's go to see the table, the championship table as well. So at the top of the table, Leeds have got back up to the top after Sheffield United won yesterday. Burnley are now up 2 points ahead of Sunderland. Oh, West Brom have moved up into the players after Middlesbrough lost, while Watford are now 11 points with Middlesbrough. Sheffield Wednesday are now behind on 10th
can I
place.
just say very quickly, one thing that is good from our perspective at least, Blackburn lost, Borough lost, West Brom didn't win. So
Yeah,
that's at least something good.
it absolutely is as well. And down the 12th place now QPR now in the top half for the first time in 2.5 years. With now Luton now dropping down into the relegation spot after Hull getting a win, with Portsmouth now up above them ahead of goal difference, and Plymouth are still down on the bottom of the table with 5 points, a clear of safety. Michael, as always, thank you very much for next week. I'm hopefully from next week we're going to probably just do this pre-recorded to make it easier, so it can make things easier going forward. Because I I felt like the live stuff I still enjoy it when it's at this show, but because with Sundays it's going to be a lot more easier since I'm not with much committed. So for after this weekend we'll probably be doing a pre-recorded this and hopefully be on next Monday. So makes it a bit more easier to like to give a breathing space.
Yeah, well, do you know what? Actually, like I've said before, I think the thing I'm going to love is whether it's, say, you and, I don't know, Sheffield United top 2 and we win the playoffs, or whether it's us 2 top 2, which is what I would love to happen, then it'd be nice just to still be in kickback mode and and it's maybe like have an end of season review stream and just go, all is well with the world.
Well, I am planning to do that. That is going to be the plan. I am speak. Well, it will be when I speak with Doug
Yeah,
and both the Andrews and try to get a few guys on to do
fair enough.
and stuff. That's going to happen. So
Do you know
I am
what's going to
planning.
be? Do you know what'll be horrendous though? Imagine if Sheffield United got top and it was between us 2 for second place.
Oh God! Don't put me.
By the
Don't.
by the way, for what it's worth, and if that was the scenario, I would just say straight away you'd probably get it. I wouldn't expect to get second if that was the case. But but I know what you mean. I can say that as an opposition fan, but it's like you just go, oh no, when you just have like the unpleasant, unfortunate events that's about to happen.
Yeah,
Just go no.
I know. I know. Michael, thank you very much. And then we're out of
Thanks ever
time
so
for.
much.
Yeah, that's us out of time. I'll be back on next Saturday at 11 a.m. for the Saturday show. No, Doug won't be around, but I will hopefully try to get a co-guest host with me to join me as well next week, and then hopefully we'll have Annie back. We'll do a pre-recorded of the championship review for next week's games. Well, if Annie's team, if Bristol City wins, that's the question.
I was going to say, Bristol, he's a fickle fan. He only turns up when Bristol City win.
I know. But that's all we've got time for. Take it for now. We'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.